Good morning from my favorite little cafe downstairs from my apartment. The warm spring weather is back in the city, and I'm reminded that a simple life, une vie simple, is a beautiful life. Lately in the mornings, I've become accustomed to starting the first few hours of my day sitting here in this chair. I'm currently working on my second book, which I hope to be able to share with you soon. But for now, I'm trying to just enjoy the process of creating it. Oftentimes in life and in our projects, I think we can become really wrapped up in the final result of things. When in reality, it's all the little moments in between that make up most of a life. When I look back at this time, I will remember the hot chocolate, sunshine, and smell of fresh baked croissants from the boulangerie down the street. I'll remember the server who was nice to me and how satisfying it felt when, after a few months of sitting in this chair, things finally began to come together. To be honest, I'm typically not really one for routine because I love novelty. But I wanted to share some things I do in the mornings for joy, creativity, and staying motivated. I think it's really important to create little rituals like this wherever you are in the world because you have the power to elevate things and make your life romantic. Okay, I worked at the cafe for like an hour. It's so hard not to just spend my whole morning there because it's so nice. And a lot of times the guy at this cafe, he gives me free hot chocolate because he knows I'm an artist and he says, I love artists, which is really cool. This is like my cafe in my quartier. I think what's really cool about living in a place for a while is like you start to have your own places. And I definitely have. So I have a yoga class at 11 and it's a hot vinyasa class. And I always try to go to this class because I love the teacher. She's very like bienveillant. Which basically means she's very caring and kind. Basically at the studio I go to, there's a ton of different classes and teachers, but there's different styles. Like there's some of them that are more like militant, which basically means like like more aggressive. Like if you do like the Bikram yoga classes, they're like go, go. But the teachers that I really like are like gentle and kind. And there's one teacher that sings at the end of her class. So I always try to go to her class. Donc j'ai un peu de temps, je pense que je vais aller au jardin et écrire de mon journal. Okay, I'm just stopping back up at my apartment to get my other journal. You guys might be like, Shayna, where's your breakfast? Why don't you eat breakfast? But the truth is, I don't eat breakfast. I don't really eat until 2 p.m. I eat between like 2 and 8. Some might call it intermittent fasting. I just like it better when I have certain hours to eat because I'm sort of running around all the time, and if I start eating really early, I'm just like hungry all day. So yeah, I still eat whatever I want. I just prefer like start eating later because it just gives my body time to don't worry, we're eating the croissants, we're having the whatever the fuck we want. But I just feel like this works better for my body. So yeah, look how small the elevator is. Oh my god, it also makes like scary noises sometimes. It smells like smoke. I used to have an elevator up until the 5th floor. I think it's so funny in France how like they have mirrors everywhere. Like, why is there a mirror there? If I had $1 for every time je tombais dans ces escaliers. J'ai pris mon journal que j'ai acheté à Beauvoir et un recueil de poésie qu'un abonné m'avait offert. J'étais à Shakespeare & Company, the English speaking bookshop, and I was sitting there and she just ran up and gave this to me and it was so sweet, and she just like ran away before I could say like thank you or anything. She just ran up like a little fairy, little book fairy. I really want to find like a tennis partner. I've never played tennis before, but I think it just looks so fun. That reminds me of a very vivid memory I have one day of like a year ago. I remember I had like gone out for my friend's birthday or something, and the next day I like felt so hungover, but it was such a beautiful sunny day that I forced myself to go out. And I came to this park and I just sat in front of the tennis courts and watched them play like a tennis match for like 4 hours and ate Chinese food and just like watched the tennis match. I don't know, I feel like everywhere I go now I just like have memories. It feels really special. Also, some of you guys were asking me about my 70-year-old chess partner because I had told you guys the story of how I came here one day and there was this old man sitting alone with a chess game and no one to play against, and I went up to him and it was like a really beautiful rencontre, and we had decided that we're gonna just like continue to play chess together. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna tell you guys because I didn't want to like let you guys down, but the second time that I came on that Monday to play chess against him, the vibe totally changed. He was like hitting on me and like trying to kiss my hand and being all gross. And like this always happens to me where I'm like, no, he's like 70, he's too old to like think that there could be something between us, you know? But yeah, so I stopped playing chess with him because I felt uncomfortable, and I just felt like the whole time he was like trying to get with me. He's like, you should come to my house in Portugal. I'm just like, dude, why'd you have to ruin it? I just wanted to play chess together because he's like a chess master. But that's okay. You know, I held up my boundaries, and it would have been nice to have had some like older person in my life to play chess with at the park and like talk and things like that. But not at the expense of like my respect for myself, and you know, I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, I'm gonna go sit down. Looks like some ghosts were having a reunion. The gate stood open to let her spirit out. Somewhere above, a cacophony of seagulls. I told him, I think they know when someone's died. He laughed and said, no. No, they don't. This permanent kind of ceasing, like a train slowly breaking miles ahead of the stop. I'm expecting something, and it feels like wearing a silk shirt. Language incorrigible, same as her. Ooh, I love that poem. I'm expecting something, and it feels like wearing a silk shirt. I love like how poetry can be interpreted in like so many different ways, and it just like feels like something, you know. It just feels like. And when she said, this permanent kind of ceasing, like a train slowly braking miles ahead of the stop. Yeah, it's like when you're trying to connect with somebody and you just don't seem to be on the same page, and you feel like every time you get excited about something and you're like, whoa, what if this was like this? They sort of like stop you before you even get to that fun place, like this imaginative place. I don't know. That's what I got from it. Lately, I've been trying to start like writing poetry again. I guess like I've never really stopped, but just to be more consistent about it. Especially whenever I have nights out, I like to like go home, and instead of writing like a full journal entry, I'll just write like, I'll turn it into a poem. For example, the other day when me and my friends went out, we were like waiting forever for an Uber, and so we stopped at McDonald's, and like I just like came home and wrote a poem. It's like 4 a.m. McDonald's, and then hold on, do I even have it in here? I wish I did. It might be my other journal. I go through journals really quickly. That's definitely in my other journal. But yeah, I try not to put like pressure on myself for like the results of things. Like, oh, this result has to be this way. Like, I think it's important to tell yourself, like, I'm just doing this for myself, and if it ends up being something that I want to share, I can. I often do that with videos as well. Like, I'll just film myself, and I'll tell myself, like, this is just for me. And then sometimes later I'll like look back at the footage and I'm like, oh, this is actually interesting, I'd like to share it. Because a lot of people ask me, like, how do you film yourself, like, being so vulnerable and stuff? And I think, like, a part of it as well is I tell myself it's not for other people. Like, at first it's for me, and then if it ends up being something that's interesting, I'll share it. Yeah, anyway, for the morning routine. Sometimes I just do this at home, but yeah, I like to journal at the park. I do always try to like write out a list of things I'm grateful for, a list of affirmations, because I just see like what a difference it makes in my life. Like I wrote what sounds fun to me this week, like because I feel like lately I've been very like work driven and project driven. So I just wrote out a list of things that aren't work and are just like fun that I could do this week. So some of the things that are on that list are like book a weekend trip somewhere. I feel like some of my best times that I have had this year have just been like spur of the moment, like random trips that I've gone on, and it doesn't have to be like super far. It can just be like a train ride somewhere. Like for my birthday, I took myself to Cassis, and I honestly had the best time by myself, just by the beach. I also wrote like fun photo shoot with yourself. Like just go to my studio, put on the lights and like the makeup and everything, and turn it into something really fun. Go to a theater show, date with yourself. All of that sounds really good. Yeah. So, probably should go soon. I have my yoga class. Tonight I'm going to an art show opening, and I'm going to my friends for dinner. So that'll be fun, and it's gonna be, yeah, a pretty full morning. Ooh, I was just walking and I heard some French girls say, "J'adore son style," which always makes your day, right? And I have to give a shout out to my mom, because this is her skirt from when she was younger. I always feel like it's the timeless pieces that like make the fit, you know? You know what I mean? Are we in Miami? Okay, je dois vite partir pour mon cours de yoga. Oh my god. I feel like the cliches are true, man. Like, PDA, this park is like insane. People were just like fucking each other in plain sight. No, not really, but like laying on top of each other, like making out, and you're like, alright. I just saw my ex while I was crossing the street. This is my side of the river. I'm just kidding. I don't think he saw me though. But it's always like surprising. Like, this city is so small. Anyway. But like, I think like 8 months ago or something like that, if that would have happened, that would have like ruined my day. But I feel fine. No, literally, I feel like really. It was almost like, oh look, there he is. Okay. Damn. Fucking Mercury in retrograde? Anyway. Okay, so I just left the yoga class. The studio is on Rue Campagne Première, which is also some of the old art studios from the biggest artists ever to live in Paris. So there's the Hotel Istria, where there was Marcel Duchamp, Kiki de Montparnasse, like a lot of big artists used to live there for a certain time. It's almost like, you know, like the Hotel Chelsea in New York. And then it's either on this street or the next street. There's the Atelier, or maybe it wasn't his atelier, maybe he just lived there, Vives Klein. So since I'm here, I thought I would just show you guys. And yeah, there's also like the cemetery right next door, which I always like to walk in because it's really calm. It's the Cimetière de Montparnasse. So if you guys are ever in the 14th and you want to see some of these little famous places, what's interesting though is there's always just like these tiny little plaques, like you wouldn't really know unless you were looking for it. One of my good friends, she runs a magazine on the 14th arrondissement, so she gave me a tour when I first moved here, so that's how I know where all of these places are, because she gave me a little tour. But it just so happens that the yoga studio is right there. So anyway, I'm gonna go do that, and then I'm gonna go to my studio. I need to do art prints. So I think I mentioned this in another video, but for the month of May, half of the proceeds for the art prints that I sell are gonna go to Ukrainian Relief Fund. So that's still happening, I think, by the time I post this video. And so I'm gonna do that. I'm also gonna work a little bit more on my book. And yeah, it should be a really nice start to the afternoon. Marcel Duchamp, Moise Kisling, Man Ray, Kiki de Montparnasse. So right now we're on the Rue Boissonade. And funnily enough, I used to nanny for like a month or so, like during the summer, for a family that was visiting, like a couple who were like scientists. They were visiting, and so I nannied for them in this building. And it's so funny because I feel like in Paris, you never know from the exterior what's on the interior, and this building is really interesting because, again, it's a building full of artists And a lot of the people that still live in this building, a lot of the people that still live there are like related and stuff, and it's like atelier des artistes, as well as you know, people who do like fashion and things like that. A side note, so the 18th arrondissement used to be where all of the artists were living. Also, I feel like sometimes my English accent is affected because if I'm going back and forth between French and English, it's just like the transition. So anyway, the 18th, the 18th arrondissement used to be like the hub where all the artists live, like Picasso, and then for a time, yeah, just like a bunch of different artists used to live there. And but then, you know, it got kind of too expensive, so then people started moving to the 14th. This is where we are now, and now here is too expensive, so most artists, I feel like, have a studio or live in the banlieue. So for example, Montreuil or Pantin, Aubervilliers. These are all places where artists can have their studio. I'm lucky because I have my studio in an ancient convent in the 14th, which I think most of you guys who watch my channel know. But it's only like a temporary thing, probably like another year or so, and then the place is going to be sold for other things. Oh, this building's also really interesting. This is like a morning routine video that's just turned into me giving you a tour of my quartier. The rest of the morning and afternoon, I went to my studio. It was a really beautiful day, and people were outside in the courtyard just laughing and having lunch. I feel really grateful to have this little community and to have a place that's so peaceful in Paris to come and work. I just sat out on the terrace and worked more on my book, and I put on music. Being really intentional about my time and thoughts and romanticizing my life has really helped me to continue to stay inspired and loving life in the way that I do. So I hope that this video brought you some calm and peace in your morning. I hope that it inspired you to take things slowly, give yourself grace, and create magic around your own life wherever you live. So I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. If you made it to the end, leave me a comment that says, "Good morning, angels." Okay? I love you. Bye.